Folks, Cornell with YouTube Fishing Vids. You are witnessing the first bass in Maryland for 2018. I'm out here on this farm pond that I've had access to fish for the past few years. Done a few videos out here, but there it is. Look at that original Husky Jerk. Some storm suspended strips on there to keep it suspended. Real lightweight Tennessee Shad. Little greenback, silver body, and an orange belly. How cool is that? All right, so yeah, I've been healing up over the past month since I've been back from Florida. I came back from Florida to 6-degree weather. I came back to frozen lakes and ponds and rivers, and they're opened. I've got a Saturday with 61-degree weather and blowing wind. So stay tuned. Let's see if we can do some more winter bass fishing out here in the farm pond. Well, that bite felt pretty good after a handful of minutes out here. I should say about 20 minutes worth of fishing out here. I brought a mini arsenal out here with me, folks. I've got jerk baits, I've got my blade baits, I've got Ned rigs. I pretty much threw all of those and found that the bottom of this pond is extra mucky this time of year. I don't know what's going on, but the blade bait's not working because it's getting caught up in the muck. Even the Ned rig's getting caught up. So what I'm settling for are the jerk baits, and I've got myself a little curly-tailed grub. So I'm going to be fishing for some of these suspended bass. I can't imagine this pond's any more than 10, 12 feet deep. So these fish are going to see these baits. It's real clear, perfect wind, so the jerk bait makes sense. So let's keep at it and see if we can find a few more. These Husky Jerks are really lightweight jerk baits. They don't have a really a good weight transfer system where you can get a really good cast out of them, like those Lucky Craft pointers and such. So I'm fishing it on my spinning rod. I've got a 7'1" medium action rod with 12-pound test braid and a 8-pound test leader. So I'm getting really good action out of this little Husky Jerk. And it's just a great bait for ponds, on top of the fact that it's a great bait in general, catches fish. It's not crazy expensive. And when you're on these farm ponds, you're not on a little kayak or a little pelican like mine, or a boat in general, and it's not easy to get these baits back. You lose a lot. So they work great. They're not that expensive, and yeah, they catch fish. Oh, there's fish number 2. Barely a bite. Oh, dinky little guy. Yep, absolute dink. That's fish number 2 though. It's only like 4 casts later. So I got my little spot here in the deeper water, but yeah, Rapala Husky Jerk. There's those suspend strips. There's a close-up look at what I've done to the bottom of that bait. I set up a tank at home. I've got that video where I show off how to use these suspend strips to make your baits custom suspend the way you want them to. So you can go take a look at that. I'll leave the link in the description below. But itty bitty little dink in the wintertime, freezing cold. This thaw just happened last week. I was out on another little body of water. I ran into some ice fishermen, and it was a 55, 60-degree day, but the ice was still like 5 inches thick, they said. And with a 2-day deal, a 2-day warm-up, then a super warm rain, it was gone. The ice was gone in like 4 days, 3 days. So I've got open water, and I'm catching fish, so I'm happy about it. I'm going to take a guess, and I'm very confident this water is barely 40 degrees. I mean, like I said, we just had ice out pretty much a few days back. It's warm today, so we may have had a little bit of a warm up, so maybe 40, 41 degrees or so, but fish on. That's absolutely awesome. A little bit of a pause, and fish number 3. How cool is that? All right, bring them in here. That's a little better fish. Yeah, just going to be a bunch of dinks in here. I'm sure there's some giants in here, I'm sure, and it's a heavily pressured farm pond. I've come out here in the summertime, springtime, and seen groups of 4 and 5 local neighborhood kids. So it's not a fish in a barrel type of pond. It's a challenge, but I'm sure these fish haven't seen a bait in a while, considering the ice, considering not everybody likes to get out here and fish in the cold. So fish number 3. Okay, I'm going to give these fish a break from this little Tennessee Shad Husky Jerk suspending jerk bait. And I'm going to go to that curly tail grub that I got rigged up. I'm going to show these fish a little something different. There's obviously some fish there, but check this out. I knew there were some weeds in here. I had round ball jig heads. I had these darter style jig heads. So there's little pointy tipped lead head jig heads that's going to go on that little itty bitty curly tail grub. So for that little bit of muck that's on the bottom, that little pointy starter head is going to come through a little more clean. And that is a super subtle little bait for suspending bass out here in this cold pond. So let's throw this little curly tail grub out here, swim it through them, see if we can pick up a couple, and then move on down the bank and cover a little more water. These super finessey swimming curly tail grubs in the wintertime are awesome. And if you have these little small ones in ponds like these, you're going to catch bass, you're going to catch crappie, you're going to catch bluegill. They catch everything that swims. So these little curly tail grubs are definitely a winter staple, but they are every kind of fish catching little machine. So definitely have some of these in your arsenal when you're going out on these freezing, I should say, ponds. That's just an 1/8 ounce darter head, by the way. I didn't mention that. So just a little 1/8 ounce and barely a 3-inch little curly tail grubs. I think it's a Kale, something really basic, real simple. Just a really, really finessey little curly tail grub. Just a 7-foot medium action spinning rod. I have this with 12-pound test braid and 8-pound test fluorocarbon leader. That's it. Super simple, super subtle, super finessey. Well, there goes the grub. There's always something. I knew there was something there. There's always been a snag there, and I happen to run into it. So I'm going to re-rig that in a little bit. But in the meantime, I have one more little rod and reel setup. And boy, I don't know if any of you know what this thing is. Have you ever seen this thing before? Yeah, right. That's my Ned rig. Okay, I got the Ned rig all set up, and it's on the I think it's the 1/5 ounce jig head with the weed guards. So it's got the weed guards going for me, but not really a rocky bottom on this pond. Again, like I said, it's really mucky. At least it was behind me about 50 yards. Now that I'm in this deeper section, I'm going to throw it again, and it's probably going to be pretty mucky on the bottom. I'll show you what I mean, and it's going to be almost useless if that's the case. So I'm going to go ahead and try it out in this deeper section and see if it's even fishable. Yeah, I'd say there's a whole bunch of muck. On the second it hit the bottom, I started feeling it, getting caught up in all that kind of stuff. So it just makes the Ned rig pretty much useless. Weed guards aren't really helping you much when it comes to these kind of weeds and this mucky bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just focus on that jerk bait. I might throw on that swimming grub again and retie that, but the jerk bait's working, so I'm going to work that out. I'm actually going to pocket a couple different versions. I've got another couple jerk baits I'm going to have tied on because there's not a lot of water cover, and if you have a couple different jerk baits and you can present them with a different look after catching a couple, it just keeps your fishing fresh. So let's go and get that jerk bait on. Here's something different on a really economical note. It's old school. I've had this forever. Check out that crawfish pattern. I don't know, orange craw pattern baby husky jerk. Itty bitty, super lightweight. So I cut off my Ned rig. Medium light, super medium light rod, 6-pound test fluorocarbon, the ultimate little setup for a tiny lightweight little jerkbait like this. Pretty much the same way I throw a Rapala Shad wrap, that type of thing, but here we go again, little Rapala jerkbait. The clouds have come out, so this cloud cover and this matted crawfish pattern jerkbait could hopefully do some damage, so that's what I'm hoping for. Let's see what happens. This medium light rod is my drop shot special, just my Lew's custom speed stick. I throw it for everything from shad wraps to drop shots to Ned rigs to little baby husky jerk. So it's a great little rod for a medium light action. And I don't even think this was a floater. I don't think this was even a suspending model. Again, there's that storm suspending suspend strip that I put on there to help weigh it nose down and also make it suspend perfectly. So this is now a little lightweight, non-transfer weight system, super subtle little husky jerk that suspends. All right, so we got a handful of casts out of the way with the little itty bitty guy in that craw pattern, but now I'm going to do something else different. Before I walk, I'm actually sticking still. I basically caught 3 fish out of this one spot on the Tennessee Shad Husky Jerk jerkbait, but watch what I'm going to do. I ran over to my stuff I got over there to the left. I got a backpack with all kinds of stuff, but instead of walking around with my big backpack and all this stuff, it's an itty bitty little pond. I just went over there and I pocketed another jerkbait, and it's another jerkbait in another color, in a tiny little different size. Let me break it out here, see if I got it in my pocket. I know it's in here somewhere. Where do I have you? Are you on this side? Nope, I know you're in there. Where the heck is it? Oh, there it is. And thank goodness I got my little hook bonnets on it. So I got my little, this is a Storm Twitch stick. So a Storm Twitch stick is basically their version of the Lucky Craft Pointer 78. And this is a killer little bait for very little money. Again, out here on the ponds, if you don't want to throw those Lucky Craft and expensive jerk baits, there's a bait that has a great weight transfer system, identical profile virtually to the Pointer 78, but a lot less money. And all I got to do in this situation, like I've done in many of my videos in the past with crankbaits, with jerk baits, there it is, guys. There's the hyper welded quick snap that I use instead of an O-ring. So to make an easy change happen, it's just like that. You take off your husky jerk and the O-ring is already off the Storm Twitch stick, and away we go. No more retying, no more wasting line retying. It does the same exact thing, super strong connection, all the same action. I've weighted the Storm Twitch stick to have the same suspending action, and I balanced everything else out with that specific snap. So it's been managed perfectly for suspending. Now, It's white. It's kind of a pearl white. Again, the clouds just came out, so instead of having that shiny bait when the sun was out, I'm gonna now throw this Storm Twitch stick in this muted, dull, drab sky and see if it helps, not to mention it's something different. So we got something else going on in front of the same fish that we're biting the Husky Jerk. Let's see if it helps. And I'll basically do that all the way around the pond. I'll stop in a spot 30, 40 yards, fish fan cast, fish with one bait, one jerk bait, try another bait if I catch a couple, keep it fresh, keep it different, don't have to carry around a lot of baits, and if you figure out a pattern and they like that jerk bait, that's a great way to go and be mobile. All right, so I got 3 fish on the Husky Jerk in that Tennessee Shad. I changed up to a little bitty craw and then to a twitch stick to change things up. So I'm gonna move down the bank, see if I can get a different angle on some of these fish and see if we can catch a couple more. There we go. Wow, I threw up actually a little more shallow, and guys, I took off the Storm Twitch stick. Even with these cloudy skies, I went ahead and put that Husky Jerk back on in the Tennessee Shad. Another little chunky bass, closer to the shoreline. That's amazing. As cold as this water is, look at that beautiful chunky farm bass. Isn't that great? Number 4 bass in Maryland for 2018. I am psyched. This has been great. Only barely an hour. Barely an hour I've been out here, and that Husky Jerk, that's the deal right there. So we might be throwing that for the rest of the time I'm out here, which is not much longer, guys. So 4 fish in, pretty awesome. I had changed up from the Storm back to the Husky Jerk, and that was the second cast using it, so it definitely is the bait at this point that they want. Oh man, that's like 2 casts later with the Husky Jerk. It's definitely the bait. This is it's amazing how you can actually have a little arsenal of tackle and little baits, and you can switch back and forth between some, and then there's just one that just works the magic. So yeah, there it is, another little dink. But number 5, how cool is that? Boy, it is icy, freezing cold. Holy cow, freezing bass, and super sharp hooks. All right, we're making a move. We're gonna see if we can pull something off on this side of the lake, which is where all the wind is blowing. All the wind is blowing right into this little back end, and this is where all the warm surface water is. So we're gonna see if we can work the angle and see if we can pull off a couple more before I have to leave. So I have got the wind directly in my face. It is hustling out here. It is blowing so hard. I'm just waiting for this tripod to tip over, but I'm casting into the wind, and with this super lightweight Husky Jerk and this rod and this line, it actually is going pretty darn far, and I'm serious. This is sustained like 20, 25, and it's gusting 30 plus, so it's really blowing out here. So apologize for the wind noise, but let's keep going. We don't have much pond to fish left, and I'm about to get out of here. So I'm in 5 fish. Let's see if we can catch a couple more. No way. Okay, so I made my way back to the same point where I started catching fish. I circled the whole pond and nothing. It's amazing how a little area like this can congregate a group of fish. And I got 5 out of this little hole, so let's see if I can pull off one more, and there's time to go. Maybe an hour and a half I've been out here for 5 fish. That's pretty awesome on a late January day. And thank you folks very much for the well wishes on my hands. For a lot of you that may not have known, I had hand surgery back in late December for trigger finger on both hands. So it's been a healing process. I had a nice long break with that freeze over where I couldn't do any fishing since I got back from Florida, but a little time there to heal. They're not 100%, but I'm working on it. So I'm still fishing. That's all that matters. Do I have one to call it a night? No, I don't think so. Oh, I do have a fish on here. It's got to be little. It's swimming with me. Oh, what did I get? Check this out. All right, that's a great way to end the night. Got myself a bluegill. But take a look at that orange belly, and that orange belly. So you got to wonder why these this Husky Jerk with this green back and this orange belly is working good for the bass. They got some bluegill in here to eat, but look at that. So you got the green back, the orange belly. It's just a great match the hatch kind of situation. So even with these drab skies, that shiny deal with that jet black back and that orange belly worked good for our little bluegill, guys. I'm going to call it. That's six fish in an hour and a half, 3 bass and a beautiful bluegill, and the first bass and the first fish in Maryland, the Mid-Atlantic for 2018 for me. So folks, as always, I appreciate you joining me. As always, I appreciate you subscribing, and until we meet again, over and out.